This is the main logon screen for Movins. You have to enter the username, password and the login type. That can be an administrator or a regular user. You press the submit button, you should see the login successful message. You click OK and it will take you to the main screen of the application. Now here we go, this is the main screen of the application. The left hand panel is, we call it mandatory control panel, which is the planning and tracking panel. That is all done from here. The middle part of the screen is where the map is shown. The right hand panel is the map functions, where you control your maps. You can see the history of your movements. You can download versions of the maps. The status bar that you see below the map is where you see the red and green windows. That is the status bar. It shows MOD, which is the monitoring device, is shown as red because it is not connected with the application yet. And when it turns, so now you see it has gone green. That means the monitoring device, which is the Android based device connected with this application, is now connected. The other icon you see is for USB. That shows that the licensing key which is required to run this application is connected with your machine, and that is why the machine will run properly. Now the status messages coming from the end user devices, which is the field devices, will come in this black window that you are seeing right below the status bar. So all the messages from all the end user devices will be seen over here. If there are any messages received, we will see that. Now here we go, we see a message coming in from one of the end user devices. It is telling that there has been an ambush, and we click OK on that, and we should see that message in the black portion of the window right below the logs window. So that's what the logs window is doing. Now we can show you one of the recorded histories of the movement of one of the vehicles. Or even before we go there, we will take you quickly through the tabs. When you come to add edit, you are actually registering the end user devices. You are registering the monitoring device over here that goes with the main application. When you go to communication tab on the left hand side, we are showing what kind of message you want the base unit to send to the end user device. Now you can see there are various types of messages that the controlling base unit can send to the end user devices. A whole list of messages out there. We can also select what kind of messages you want to go out to what kind of end user devices. You want to send it to all the end user devices or only to the ones that are activated on specific trips. And then you can pick message to be sent to a single end user device or to multiple end user devices. And then of course you can type in the message that you want to send, and you click send, and there you go, all the messages will go to the selected end user devices. Now if you move on, we say add group. Add group is simply creating the categories and subcategories of the material that will go on the convoy. That is what add group does. So grouping is simply nothing but it is just talking about the category and subcategory of materials that will go. Now if you move on to create, the create tab is simply going to help us create the route for the trip. So we create the route first, then we click on the trip button, and that will actually take us to creating the trip. Once the trip is created, then we assign the end user devices, which are the convoy vehicles, to the trip, and we can start the trip. That is where we will come into the monitor tab. The monitor tab allows us to monitor the vehicles that are on the trip, and there may be some vehicles that are not even assigned to a trip. We can also monitor those. There is other functionality when we come here. When we come to info is giving us all the information that we have on the operating environment of this base unit. So it is showing us what the connection status is. It is showing us if there is a new user, there are some user settings it is showing. Now when we go to the tab below info, we have sync bud. All it does is if there are multiple base unit devices, then this is the tab you would come to synchronize the multiple base unit devices that are working in the environment. If we go further down on the tab, we have logs. Logs does nothing but it picks up the message from the black window that we showed earlier, the bottom window below the map. It takes the messages from there and shows us all the messages in a user-friendly environment. So that's all the we have on the left hand panel, which is primarily for planning and tracking of vehicles. Now we will quickly move on to the map function, which is in the middle. The map function in the middle, you can actually zoom into the map, you can zoom out of the map. I'll quickly show you how much. It depends on the level of detail we have of the map loaded in the application. Normally we go up to level 18, which can go up to the street level. You can see the name of the street also. So that's the level of detail we have. You can progressively keep zooming in or zooming out of the map function. Moving on to the right panel, which is the map function panel. Before we go to the map function panel, we will also show you some of the trips that we had recorded, which is the live movement of the vehicle. So we're going to show you some of that before we move on to how we control the maps on the right hand panel. So here we go, we did record a trip. I mean, for this demo we recorded a single vehicle, but we can go to more than 300 vehicles on the application. So we'll start showing you how the recorded history of the movement of a vehicle looks on this application, on the map itself. So if we can bring up the vehicle now, and I'm going to show you. So this is the marked route, and here we see the vehicle starting from this point over here. The vehicle is identified by EUD1 as the end user device, and here you see the movement of the vehicle along the path. So this is how we show the history. And now the other thing I want to point out is that if you hover over one of these icons, you will actually see the latitude, longitude of the vehicle at that time in the position of its travel across the route that we are tracking. So that's about the tracking and the zooming in of the map, zooming out of the maps. Now I'll take you to the right hand panel of the screen, which is where we actually control the maps, and we can also see the movies from the right hand panel. On the map function, if we click on the map, we have the functionality on the map to zoom in, zoom out that we already showed. The other thing I did want to tell you was that when we were showing the movie of a recorded movement, we can actually increase the speed at which we see the movie. We can decrease the speed at which we see the movie also from the same zooming in, zoom out control. The other thing that I did want to tell you was that on this main screen, we did show the map in the middle, but that map can be expanded by shrinking the left hand panel and the right hand panel, which we have done all along. We will show it one more time to you. And here you go, the map actually covers the whole screen now. All other parts of the screen have been shrunk, and we see the map in full screen over here. That's about it for this demo. We have a lot more to show, but this is all we will cover on this demo. Thank you all.